Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are back with our poison slash psychotropics. Like we're gonna just make these into a big huge. So let's not argue about that because whatever they are is whatever they are. They mess with our perception of time and space and slow our heart and do strange things to our neurotransmitters and all that good stuff. So this is a broad category of like poisons and psychotropics that we are launching upon. And I'm so excited that everybody has loved it so far. And take it away, Raven. We're going to have more fun.
All right. So we are starting off with Lily of the Valley today.
Ooh.
So cute little baby. Um, so first, let me move my little viewfinder. It's always in the way. There we go. Okay, so it is part of I couldn't say this last time, but Asparagaceae,
I
which is
think that's it. Yeah.
yes, asparagus family. Um, and the genus is Convallaria, and so Convallaria uh Majalis. I don't know if it's a hard J, but I like the H.
Whatever.
Majalis.
Okay.
So
We'll go with that.
yeah, cool, perfect. So lily of the valley is not a true lily. True lilies are a whole different like family, and this is not uncommon. There's a lot of quote unquote lily flowers that are not true lilies. So I just want to get into that very, very briefly. So why call it a lily? And it's because before like our modern taxonomy, right, our modern like genus, family, species type of thing, people just grouped plants by the way that they looked. So if they looked like some other flower and that other flower was already named, then it was a similar name. And so we have like long parallel veined leaves, which we'll talk about later, white, very like delicate, elegant, pretty flowers, spring blooming, and underground rhizome or bulbs. Now, lilies have, if you're not familiar with this, it's fine, but lilies have bulbs. Lilies of the valleys have rhizomes, but from appearance, they look to like sprout the same way. And so it was called lily and why of the valley because it grows in valleys a lot of times. So lily of the valley. And there's other really common flowers. Like I said, daylilies are not true lilies. Calla lilies, which are my mom's favorite, those are not true lilies. And those are actually part of the arum family, which monsteras are in that family, and
Oh,
philodendrons are
oh,
in that same family as calla lilies. Water lilies, not true lilies, and peace lilies, also not true lilies. So lots of lilies that are not true lilies. Okay, so other names, obviously, we have Lily of the Valley, we have May Lily, Maybells, and Our Lady's Tears, which is less common. We'll talk about that.
they are so beautiful.
They
Let
are
me just tell you right
so
now, I am
pretty.
so attracted to
I
the
know.
lily of the valley.
They're so pretty. They're like
They're lovely.
so delicate and like feminine
I want
looking.
to kiss them. I
I
want to like
know. Me
hug
too. I want to rub my face on them.
them.
Wear them like a little hat. Uh, okay, so identification. So they're pretty short. They only get to be like 6 to 12 inches tall. The flowers are the most easily identifiable parts. They bloom mid to late spring. They are usually white. You can find some that are pale pink, but that's pretty much it. They don't get any darker than pale pink. Most of them are white. The flowers are very small. They're waxy, just kind of like calla lilies too, if you like rub those. And they're very bell-shaped. There's lots of flowers on one stem, between 5 and 15, but on average about 10. And they have a very strong fragrance that's very sweet smelling. Um, I haven't actually smelled a true lily of the valley, but I've heard people say that it's kind of similar to honeysuckle, so very sweet. The roots are rhizomes, right? Rhizomes are like how ginger grows, where you have like this big long kind of stalk and then the things shoot up. Um, and so that's the lily of the valley. And then we have, oh, the leaves. So usually there's two leaves. There can be three. You can see three here, one, two, three. But usually there's two leaves that kind of grow together at the base and they grow at the same time. So it's not kind of like this, like we see in a lot of other plants. They grow like near each other. They're very broad and oval shaped, very smooth edges. The veins are very clear in them. I mean, you can even see it in this picture. And they're pretty long, 4 to 10 inches long, and they do bear fruit. So the fruit is here. Obviously, the fruit comes from the flower, and the fruit is berries that are growing usually late summer to fall. And then each berry contains a lot of seeds. I mean, I don't really have an inside picture of it, but you can see it on here. It's like most of the fruit is a seed. Okay, so native to Europe, some parts of Asia, and then some like more mountain regions of Western North America. They like woodlands, they like forests, they like shade. So I think that I say this somewhere. Oh yeah, right here. They like to grow under trees where there's just a tiny bit of sunlight peeking through the tree canopy. They don't want full light, but they don't want full shade. They just want those like occasional rays that come through the branches. So they do really well in like forest areas, and the floor needs to be moist. They do not do well with dry soil. They need constantly always moist. Um, and what else? Oh yeah, and then high in leaf litter. So just they grow in like where the leaves kind of die and rot and stuff. And then you can find it growing naturally alongside ferns, ginger, and trillium. We have a ton of trillium here in Oregon.
We have
If you've
lots of
never
fern too.
lots of ferns, lots and lots of ferns. I've heard that we have a lot of wild ginger, but I haven't seen any.
Right.
But yeah, trilliums are really pretty.
Right.
Yeah, pretty like delicate flowers if you haven't seen trillium. Okay, so just a couple lookalikes. None look exactly like it, but we have the false lily of the valley. So lots of similarities. The big difference though is the flowers. So the
Yeah.
flowers are star shapes, they're not bell shaped, but it looks similar enough to be called the false lily of the valley. The leaves look identical. So if the flowers haven't sprouted yet, just based on like the leaves and the growth pattern, it can be misidentified. Then we have wild garlic. Again, not super similar. The leaves look exactly the same. The flowers are the same color, but they're not on like stalks, right? They're not like flower, 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 flower. It's just one flower at the end of the stem.
Mhm.
Although a lot of people pick wild ginger before it flowers, and there have been a lot of cases of accidental like poisonings because people thought they were harvesting wild garlic and it was lily of the valley. So
Ooh.
something to think about. And then finally, Solomon seal looks kind of similar, I guess. But I mean, we do have like the multiple flowers along the stem, but they're in clusters. You can see it's like a
Yeah.
cluster of three typically. Okay, so let's go into history and lore. So first, Christian legends, there's always at least one, right? Every flower, every plant has at
We've
least
got one
one.
in mind too. There's always
There's
one.
always one.
Always one.
So this one has two actually. So the first is that Lily of the Valley sprang from the tears of the Virgin Mary as she wept at the foot of the cross during Jesus's crucifixion. And so this is where the name Our Lady's Tears come from, or Mary's Tears is because of this. And then another Christian like story says that the flowers grew from the tears of Eve after she was expelled from the Garden of Eden. So either way, you can kind of see that it's like sorrow, but also tied a little bit to like hope and humility. Then we have the legend of Saint Leonard. Now, I didn't find a lot of this, just kind of snippets here and there, but it seems to be like a medieval English legend where there was this a man, Saint Leonard, who was a hermit who came out from his dwelling to battle a dragon, and he won, but everywhere that his drop of blood fell to the ground, a lily of the valley sprung. So we have it like the triumph of good over evil, courage, perseverance. And then we have the association with Ostara. I mean, if you just look at this flower, you can tell that it would like be associated with Ostara. So the Germanic goddess of spring, renewal, and so it's very like feminine, delicate woodlands, but like sunny springtime woodland energy. And then fairies. This is the big one. So, in European folklore, especially in like Britain and Germany, lily of the valleys were the fairy flower. This is like the epitome of a fairy flower. Um, I just Googled like lily of the valley and fairies, and there was like hundreds of pages of art and statues and all kinds of stuff. So
Wow.
the yeah, I mean it's very
You
typical.
could see it looks
You can
it's yeah,
see, yes.
it's
It
rings
looks,
true.
yes, yes, absolutely. So the legend, there's different legends, but some legends say that the flowers serve as little cups that the fairies drink dew from, so that they would like pick a flower and then collect some dewdrops and drink it. Some say that it works like a bell, where as the flower moves and hits like the stems in the middle, that it would kind of call upon the fairies and the woodland spirits. Some say that forms a lantern, that they would put like a lightning bug or like something up in the flower and use it as a lantern. So lots of stories of like the Fae being associated with this. Um, yeah. Okay. So then, I do love my language of the flowers, and with the language of the flowers, lily of the valleys were used to symbolize returning to happiness. So it was like sweetness, purity, the returning of something, especially after hardship. So if somebody went through something really hard, you would give them a bouquet of lily of the valley, and it would symbolize like that there's hope.
Mm.
And then we have French tradition. I'm gonna absolutely butcher this, but La Fête des Muguet. I don't know. So
I
the
don't know
lily of
either.
yeah, I don't know. The lily of the valley is associated with good fortune. So we always see like hope, renewal stuff. So on May 1st, people traditionally give lily of the valley to friends and loved ones to wish them happiness and good luck. This legend dates back to the Renaissance, where King Charles the Ninth uh, was given a spring of lily of the valley as a lucky charm, and then he was like, this is great, and he just had everybody start doing this, which is obviously very tied to May, right? May Day celebrations. So May 1st
Beltane.
is yeah, I love May Day. So people exchange flowers on May Day for good luck, friendships, loved ones, decorations, beautiful um just like, yeah, spring, end of spring, kind of like transitioning into summer slowly, like really pretty florally May Day stuff. If you are familiar with May Day, then this is
This is
on
it.
par. And then we have ornamental gardens. So it's been cultivated in Europe for a really long time, and people loved it because they like shade. So if you had a part in your garden where it didn't get full sun, this is a great place. It spread really naturally. So you could. If you had a big area that you need to put something in, Lily of the Valley is great. I mean, you can see like in this picture, this is just wild Lily of the Valley. I mean, it grows everywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and oh, it smells amazing and it doesn't need a lot of maintenance once it's established. As long as you keep the ground moist, you can kind of just let it go and it will thrive. So
Nice.
lots of uses in gardens, monasteries, gardens, castle gardens, all type estate gardens, big garden stuff. Then we have wedding traditions, right? So historically used for bouquets, decorations, arrangements, because it symbolized purity, humility, happiness. And so we even have bouquets of Catherine, Princess of Wales, Audrey Hepburn. Her bouquet was Lily of the Valleys, and Grace Kelly, Lily of the
Is
Valleys.
that Catherine? Is that her name? It's William's wife, right? Prince William.
Caitlin, no.
William's wife. Let's see. Prince William. He's Oh, it is. Catherine.
That's when I was
Kate
checking.
Middleton. Kate. That's why.
Kate, that's
Kate
what it is.
Middleton. I'm like, I don't like, I remember her as Kate. I'm like, Catherine? Is
Yeah,
that really,
okay,
but
yeah.
yeah, and it is. It's even a Catherine with like a C, but we call her Kate.
Yeah, I know. I was typing this and I was like, I don't, is that really her name? That doesn't sound right. Kate. Yeah, okay, for
It's
Catherine.
Kate.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Princess Kate.
so funny.
I know,
So
or
not in the
Princess
know.
Catherine. Exactly.
But yeah, really pretty like bouquets. Again, symbolizing happiness, this concept of like purity, all of these things. And then perfumery. So it has this amazing scent. However, you cannot distill it into essential oils because there's not really any like fragrance oil that can be extracted. So even though it smells great, you can't really extract the oil to use into like perfumes and stuff. And so, starting in the late 1800s, perfumers created it synthetically. So it's supposed to smell like lily of the valley, but it's not true lily of the valley.
Interesting.
And they use it in like everything, perfume, soaps, powders, everything. And still to this day, it's considered a green floral that's really commonly used in all kinds of stuff. Okay, so as always, we're not physicians. Also, this topic is called poison, so, consume at your own risk if you're going to consume.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, so let's get into medicinal. So actions, not a ton. Positive, inotropic, which means that it increases the force of heart contractions, which means that it makes your heart pump like stronger, right? Negative, chronotrope, which means it slows the heart rate. Diuretic, antiarrhythmic, and mild sedative. So already you can see lots of hard stuff. Now, every single part of this plant is considered poisonous. The flowers, the leaves, the stems, the berries, the rhizomes. Even if you take a bunch, cut them, put them in water, that water is toxic. It is highly toxic, every single part of the plant. By definition, toxic, okay?
You are so funny.
Okay, so what makes it like poisonous? So the plant contains cardiac glycosides, and there's a bunch. I looked into research. These are the specific ones. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them, but there's a group of cardiac glycosides. Now, these chemicals, these glycosides, affect your sodium potassium ATPase pump, which basically is what makes your heart pump. Okay. Now, this pump regulates things like sodium, potassium. If you're familiar with like all of that, like ATP, you'll be familiar with this. But essentially, what happens is if you consume something that has these cardiac glycosides, calcium builds up in your heart cells, which makes your heart contractions, the beating of your heart, stronger. Okay. It goes from like this to this. And then the electrical conduction slows because it's pumping harder, so it can't do it as fast. And then you have arrhythmias developing, which is like abnormal heartbeats. This is the exact process in which digoxin affects us, which is foxglove, right? I don't think we've gone over a foxglove yet. Maybe.
No, I think
Okay.
it's in our list.
Okay. So
Maybe. I don't know. If we do, I'll put a link to it. But if you don't see a link, then we haven't done it yet.
yeah. So, well, I'm not going to get into that then, but foxglove has a very well-known medicinal compound called digoxin or digoxin. Different people
Digitalis.
digitalis, yeah,
Digitalis.
exactly,
Yes.
digitalis. And we'll talk about that more in the foxglove, but this is the same way that lily of the valley works. It affects your heart in the same way.
Okay.
So there is a very narrow therapeutic window. Okay, so if you have a tiny bit of these components, then there can be some medicinal effects. However, even if you go slightly over that dosage, it is toxic. And if you go even a little bit more than that, it can be fatal. There are recorded deaths from consumption of lily of the valley. As I talked about, people will mistake it for wild ginger, or not ginger. Yeah, wild ginger.
Garlic.
Garlic, thank you.
Wild garlic.
Wild garlic will eat it and die. There's been cases recorded of that. So you have to be very careful if you are going to consume it. I personally have zero desire. I'm not consuming this. Okay.
Consuming this.
Why would I? Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no point.
yeah,
Why
what
would
benefit do we have to
I?
this?
Yeah.
You have a heart
So
problem? I don't have a heart problem.
no, no,
I'm
I'm
not
good.
doing any of this.
I'm good.
I'm not doing
Uh, and so, also the like how much is a little, right? We could have a little that has some medicinal effects, but the amount that's a little is going to vary because it depends on the age of the plant, the soil compounds, the season, the growing conditions, all kinds of stuff. So people who say like, "Oh, I can just eat a little bit," good luck because it could very much vary, and it does vary from even just one plant to another on the
do
same
that.
rhizome even. So
Don't do that.
don't do it. Why would you? Yeah. So, how much is poisonous? Again, we don't really know because it varies so much. However, estimated in general for adults, even if you just eat a few leaves or a couple flowers, toxic. For children, one berry, one flower, toxic. And for pets, just chewing, they don't even have to swallow the whole leaf, but chewing on the leaves of the flowers can be toxic. Now, fortunately, as with a lot of toxic plants, it tastes very bitter. And so, because it's so bitter, a lot of times people will start eating it and then spit it out, realizing that it's not what they think or whatever. So, um, but just don't eat it. Why? Why? There's no benefit. Some symptoms of poisoning, early symptoms, and then it just progresses. So nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and then within a few minutes to a couple of hours, we have weakness, blurred vision, yellow vision. Like, I don't even think that jaundice actually tints your vision, but it like this tints your vision. Slow pulse, irregular heart rate, and then a few minutes after that, heart block, arrhythmias, and cardiac arrest. So, yeah. Okay. However,
Rough.
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 Yes, rough. Yeah. It has been used medicinally in the past. So in medieval Europe, physicians used it for dropsy. Dropsy is for edema. Now, edema is swelling, right? It's basically fluid retention. So dropsy is edema caused by heart failure, which also seems like a lot of things now. I think we look back at the medicinal uses of something and we're like, why? Why would you give somebody who already has edema from heart failure a drug that is going to slow the heart and like mess up the heart? But that's medicinal Europe for you. So weak heart, palpitations, fainting, they would give it for all of these. Now, because the heart pumped more efficiently, swelling often improved, but then was followed by cardiac arrest. So worked for a little bit. And then we have our friend Culpeper, who recommended it for weakness of the heart, strengthening of the brain, memory, paralysis, and gout. And then doctors prescribed it in tinctures for congestive heart failure, edema, and arrhythmias. Now, foxglove was also used for these purposes, and sometimes the doctors would lean more towards lily of the valley instead of foxglove because they said that it acted more quickly and it had a shorter duration. But again, I mean, we've talked about what it does to your heart. It's not good, okay? If you have like arrhythmias, go to your doctor. Go to your doctor. So, is it still used today? No, it's not. Even physicians who still use digoxin, there are very few people who still use that, like especially straight derived from the plant. Usually they're going to use the alternate like pharmaceuticals. Okay, so magical stuff. Element, I found water for purity, emotion. I added, well, it needs constant moist soil, so I would associate for water that way. And also historically used for edema, which is water, right? And so, yeah, element, water. Sign is Cancer. I found home and remembrance. I don't really know why remembrance, other than like used for memory, as we saw in the past. It doesn't actually.
Marriage and love.
Yeah.
All sorts of like
Yeah.
symbolic, like
Also,
yummy
yeah.
cancer stuff.
Yeah. So I didn't find this, but I think like the softness plus the harshness, right? You have this beautiful, delicate feminine looking flower that can kill you. And so I love that for Cancer because we have the soft, mushy insides and the harsh outer shell. So, Cancer. Planet is the moon, cycles, femininity, big one, dreams, intuition. I could also see it as Venus, but I think that like with I don't know, something about like the water that I like. Tarot, I came up with, I couldn't find any. I think the HP could work for this one. Some hidden
Good.
wisdom, intuition, some mystery. Again, we have the beautiful, like, delicate flower with the toxicity. So I kind of like the HP for that. And then chakra, heart, people said like love and compassion because of it used in weddings and stuff. I like it for the heart because it does heart stuff medicinally. So
Yep.
that's how I
Love
like it.
that.
Deities and beings, obviously the Fae. That's the big one, right? If you're doing fairy workings or anything with the Fae, this is going to be a beautiful one. The Virgin Mary or Guadalupe, obviously because of the like Tears of Mary. We also have Eve and Saint Leonard. We talked about all of these. Now, non-directly related, there's been associations with like woodland spirits, Ostara, Diana, Hecate. Now, there isn't any direct mentions of these in any of these lores, other than like the Fae being being
Yeah.
part of woodland spirits, but no direct associations. But because it's like toxic or a very like beautiful spring flower, people often kind of associate it with them, but no direct lineage. Okay, so how can you use it? Protection, right? Because it does have the toxic compounds. So you can place it near a doorway in charms to ward away any type of negativity or to like invite peace. Bring in happiness. We saw it for joy, optimism, recovery after hard times. We've seen the lore associated with all those. You can bring it into your home or some other space to like invite in joy and happiness and recovery. Obviously, fairy magic. So planting it or doing anything with it, like near woodland shrines, around fairy gardens, edges of forest, even if there's like oh, I totally just blanked on the name. What is it called? It's fairy something where there's like a hole in a tree.
Um,
No, it's not fairy doorways. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a name. Like if you have a tree that has like a hollowed out portion, it's called a fairy something. But doing anything with the flowers around those areas would be good. Or like fairy rings if you see a mushroom fairy ring. And then dream work, right? Because of lunar associations, dream practices and intuition practices. I have like this want to carve it into like a bowl. I don't know what I would do with that bowl, but when I was typing this up, I was like, "Ugh," I just keep visualizing like carving it. I don't even carve into stuff, but like carving it into like this really white, like delicate bowl would be cool. I don't know. Anyways,
Lovely.
that's what I'm visualizing. And that's it. It's Lily of the Valley.
I love that.
Mhm.
That is amazing. And I love Lily of the Valley. And it is beautiful and all those good things. And I really didn't even know that it was poisonous. So I'm excited to find out all the good poison stuff about it as well.
Thanks.
Awesome. So thank you for joining us. And we will see you. Oh, like and subscribe below. And we'll see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.